Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, woman. I
Okay.
am so excited for this.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah. This has been a moment that I know. I'm like waterproof. Everything's waterproof right now. So we'll just jump right in, mama, because I know you got a lot going on. So why don't we start off by you sharing how you found yourself on this journey? We'll start there. That's a great place to start.
Okay, so first off, I wasn't quite sure if I wanted children in the first place until I met my husband, Greg. And he is just the kindest, most caring person. Just you want to have his offsprings. Okay.
I met him, so I know that. I know, yeah,
Yes,
I
yes,
totally get where you're coming from.
yes.
Just
So
it's his kind eyes.
yes, 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 exactly. So I fell in love with this wonderful man, and we would just talk about the future. And so I said, okay, well, let's just do it. Let's have some babies. So we met, we got engaged, we moved in, we got married in 2018. I am a little bit more mature than he is. And
I know something about that.
yes. So I was 38 and I just felt like something wasn't right. I wasn't quite sure. So I started visiting doctors. And of course, you go to the first one, oh, everything is fine, keep trying. I wasn't sold. So I went to another one, and that's the one who was with me on like a 2.5 year journey, kind woman. And I just have unexplained infertility, right? So many women out here have that little tagline.
I did too.
Yeah, yeah. And so I have 6 pages of notes to go over. So I'm ready for this, Rosie. I have been waiting for this all my life.
You and I both have been waiting for this.
Yes.
I'll never forget our very first conversation. It was like plain as day that this was happening. I think we both knew in our hearts that there would be this day.
Yes.
And so, okay, so we'll go back into it. So you meet Greg, you feel it in your soul. We're having babies. Something didn't feel right. You had a 2-ish year journey with
Yes.
a physician. I mean, so like, did they ever quote unquote find something wrong with you?
No. So yeah. So let me dive into that a little bit. Because it's going to give some people out there some hope and definitely a whole lot of faith.
Whole lot of
Okay.
yeah.
So yes. So I was 38. We got the diagnosis, unexplained infertility, and then we started doing IUIs, which is like the first step of the journey. And I would get pregnant. We're like, okay, this is going to be an easy journey. And then we would lose the baby. So we did a couple rounds of that. So then we said, okay, time to up the ante. Let's go ahead and start doing IVF. Went through it, got 5 healthy embryos, and went through the first cycle, got pregnant. It didn't last. Then we went, recovered from that, got to give your body time to reset, did that, went in again, another cycle of IVF. I got pregnant, and it was an ectopic pregnancy. So the baby was in my fallopian tube, quick emergency, go straight to the hospital. I will meet you there. Tell your parents to meet you there as well. And my husband and I really didn't understand what was happening and the severity of it until afterwards. And so then we had to fully recover from that. And then we said, okay, now we're feeling better. My body was reset. Then let's do it again. And then from there, I actually got pregnant and stayed pregnant for 9 weeks. And then that was when we were able to find out that the baby actually lost blood to it. That's when I found out I had 3 fibroids. So then we had to have surgery to a DNC to, help the baby go to heaven. And then we also had to take away the 3 fibroids. Then, so I have a cut, just like a cesarean already. And then, so that took longer for my body to recover. And then from there, we kept having to go back because after a while, you're going to go back just to make sure the inside healed okay. Well, it did not. I had a septum. So that's like some scar tissue that was left. So we had to go back in, had that removed the first time. Couple months later, guess what? The septum is back.
Return of the septum.
We had to go back in again. Like everybody literally at that clinic where they had the surgeries, like literally knew me. Then, so that was the second time. Then we had to go back for surgery number 3 to remove that same septum scar tissue that was left over. So literally I've had 8 or 9 surgeries, and I've kind of blocked a lot of it out, those dates and times. I'm like, am I supposed to be celebrating? Many times all of this was happening like near the end of the year. So, normally in the past, November was not a happy month because a lot happened during that time. Then, and then of course, every time I would go to the doctor, I would have anxiety. I would be panicking. I would be upset. I would be crying before even getting any news, just because of my brain talking to me about what had occurred in the past. So then we go back, do another round. And of course, we didn't get pregnant. So I said, okay. And this is one thing that I appreciate from you. You always talked about your bump squad, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But one of my, because I'm in Mary Kay, one of my Mary Kay mentors, her name is Jen. She was actually really the only person I could talk to on this journey because she had done IVF and she had talked about it herself. So she would tell me, Tinia, if we need to go to a specialist in Boston, because that's what my old doctor said, because we couldn't get rid of the clinic, the septum, she said, I will meet you there. She's whatever it takes, whatever we have to do. You need somebody like that will say, as you're wiping your tears, that whatever we have to do, we're bringing a baby home.
Yeah. Not leaving without the baby.
Not leaving here without the baby. So I thank goodness for Jen in saying that. And then as I went through, we said, because last November is when we had that last cycle, and nothing went through. So we took I started looking on the internet. And I actually started looking on the internet a little bit before that. And then that's when I found you and your book that is called, Am I the Reason Why I Am Not Getting Pregnant? And I'm like, yeah, because I think it is me. Like, it's me.
I have a feeling that somewhere, somehow, I knew I was writing this book in part for you.
Yes.
Because, think about it, Tinia. I have to riff on that for a second, because think about the kind of personal responsibility it takes to be able to ask that question instead of going into psychosis that, is she blaming me? It's like, no, could it be me? Could there be a block in me? Mm-hmm. Tell me what made you buy that book, because that title can trigger some people. right? But like, what made you say, yeah, it's me, the way you said that?
We put a lot of energy and time into the doctors, but I really felt like there was something I could be doing, period. I knew that there was something that I could do. And so I said, okay, whatever is necessary, whatever I can do, I'm game. I'm ready for it. I'm ready. So that book just spoke to my heart. I think I read it that night, and I was telling my husband Greg, like, yo, this lady says she does coaching. I think I need some coaching. And he was like, okay, let's go to the next step. And then you said, and then you had a podcast. Then you were on Instagram. I said, well, let me find her on there again and figure out what the next step is, because my brain, after going through all of that, like my brain was done, because nobody could help me, because everybody in my life had gotten pregnant, like just breathing on their spouse. Okay. Right. So I'm like, my mama couldn't help me, friends, girlfriends. And so I knew I needed some other support. And we get coaching in, if I was a track and field runner, I would get a coach for that. If I was a, dentist, I would get a mentor and a coach for that. So why not get a coach for your brain to help you on this journey, which is, I think, one of the most important thing that I have ever done in my life, which is, which it's my job to tell other people how I made it to the other side.
100,000%, Tinia. I mean, and you're raising a really good point there, because when you think about the responsibility that comes with that blessing to get to the other side. I mean, you're in Mary Kay, you're, extremely successful there. I mean, I know that part of what you're doing is showing others, the way and how you did it so they can do it too. And that's totally what was fueling me. I'm like, I'm one of the most stubborn women you'll ever meet, and I'm like, if I can make this change, I want to get my hands on other women like you who are as committed as I was to getting past this, but getting past this, not just so that I have a baby, but to get past this so that I could fulfill my destiny. I could be out there doing the things that I need to do and become the woman that has the baby. Because, and I'm sure we're going to get to this, because the woman that I was before I started doing the work, I would recognize her. I have compassion for her, but we don't even live in the same place anymore.
Totally agree. I totally agree. And we have a picture of you in our baby room, because you are our fairy godmother, because I have totally changed. My brain is totally wired different. Like I go about my life differently. My words are different. And some of the things I can actually share with the ladies out there.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have a section over here talking about what I have learned from Roseanne. Okay. So one thing is, and the quote that you always say is, the desire in your heart to become a mother is meant to be there. Something, you say it a little better than I can.
Oh, but no, that's like music to my words. Yeah, to my ears. Yeah.
Yes, you have to own it. And so therefore it will come true. And so I have that plastered all over our house. And I am a Christian. And so I do believe that faith without works is dead. You helped to give me the work that I needed to do to stir up my faith so we could bring our baby here. Another quote is an exercise you would have us do, because I quickly, once we learned about your program, I had that conversation with you. We signed up. I was in your class that next Saturday morning with the other ladies, and you would have us doing homework every week and exercises. And many times you would tell us to go open the door and welcome your baby in. And then I would do that all the time. You would also tell us to talk to your baby when we're in the car. So I still talk to the babies in the back seat and tell them how their daddy like missed the turn, or how we can't make up our mind on where we're going to eat tonight. And next time they're going to be the deciding factor of where we're going. So we would be talking to our babies, having that faith, and that because there's this Christian quote that people always say, oh, it's God's timing, wait on the Lord, be still, it wasn't your time. Those things, when you're on the journey, can be perceived and taken as negative. And so I would have to block those people out who would say anything to that factor, because my group was already small.
Right.
So when they would say those types of phrases, I'm like, okay, knock you off, not talking to you anymore,
Yeah.
But because, sometimes people just don't know what to say. And sometimes it's just best to say nothing. And so I wanted to make sure I hit that point today, because sometimes, like that can mess up my brain. Like, what do you mean? It's not the time. Like, I am preparing my body for this.
Well, think about it, Tinia. I mean, yet another bomb that you're dropping, which I love, because it's really interesting. People can use faith just like they use gratitude to keep other people small. And I mean, I think you and I have the same God that has got deep pockets and puts these, I mean, Hebrews 11:1, girl. I mean, like, faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. Mm-hmm. And where you were coming from is a belief that, look, what I'm asking for is driven by what's in my heart. So if it's in my heart, I know it's for me. It's not
and it came from him.
Yeah. It's not that it's not my time. It's not that. There's just a process. Everything is preparation for what is to come.
Exactly. My whole journey was necessary. I didn't know I had fibroids until all of that occurred. So therefore, the process was necessary. Me going to the other doctor was necessary. So during that time, there was this other Bible verse that stuck in my brain, which is Psalm 37:4, which says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And then during one of your other sessions, you had wave your magic wand, which was also known as your ink pen. And you said, cross the bridge on a new thought. You can decide today, snap, that this is your magical wand, snap. Now you've crossed the bridge. So instead of being wishy-washy, right? In the Bible, it says double-minded, when saying, oh, this didn't occur correctly at my last appointment, so maybe this isn't for me. No, I stopped thinking like that. And I said, this is for me. It's just not right now, or I have to do some things different in my body to make sure that when this baby comes, that it stays forever.
Right.
So yeah, I totally agree. I thank goodness for your magical wand. You're wavering it several different times on our session.
Oh,
to make sure that I crossed that bridge and stayed there in that realm of positivity, knowing what I felt in my heart. Because you always say sometimes our brain just replays what has occurred, but your heart, those tears in your eyes, your heart, that's truth. So we have to rely on that truth. So Plus, you also say when you change your mindset, you change your results.
100%.
Which has been key for me for this program. You have another quote that says, I trust my God, I trust my baby, I trust my body. I trust my God, I trust my baby, I trust my body. Because when I look back on those 8, 9 surgeries, I could have beat my body up and said, shame on it, right? What's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. I chose to cross that bridge and say, okay, let's try to fix you, as naturally as I can. And I was actually able to find another doctor online, okay, on Instagram, Dr. Cleopatra, which helped me with what I was eating, which helped me with my acupuncture points, which helped me with my anxiety. So I would be tapping away when I would be going into an appointment, relaxing myself along the journey, because I knew the affirmations that you taught me in my head. So that partnership helped me when I was in that middle realm from November to March. I didn't have a new doctor till March of 2022. So
I think this is so good, Tinia, because you're also raising the point that you, number one, made a decision. You crossed that bridge. You're like, no, I've made a decision. I know where I'm headed. And I think so many women are afraid to just make a freaking decision and decide I'm going to be successful. People will say, oh, how can how can I just decide to be successful? Well, that's what you do. You do that in business. You do that in relationships. How could that be any different when it comes to your baby? You just make a decision that this is happening because you end that wishy-washiness. People think that making a decision is expensive. You know what is more expensive than that is not making a decision.
Yep.
Because you'll end up shiny object syndrome, chasing all these things and not being clear. And you were clear.
Right. And I wanted this to be our destiny. I didn't want to delay. There's a couple other quotes that you say, that there is no biological clock. You had another quote, that's my journey, it's my baby, it's my timeline. I have that all over my house. Okay, like it's Roseanne quote central. Okay. And then I have other things. You had this book that says, I am prosperity, I am prosperous, I am a great mama, I am a success, and I will be on Roseanne's podcast. And I had all these, but guess what's down here? November 2022. Okay.
Oh,
so yes, all these dates, all the dates, the goal didn't change. It's just the date that did.
I saw that you changed the date too on there.
Yes.
Changed the date. I mean, that I say that all the time and women don't believe me. And I'm like, hey, we all have an idea in our mind of when we want this baby. Just change the date. Don't give up. Just change the date. Sometimes we're wrong.
Yes.
But okay, so Tinia, do you realize from November 2021,
yes,
being in that dark place where November is not a good month for you, to November 2022, it's Friday, November 11th, 11/11/22, you and I are here.
Yes, and there's a whole lot that has changed. So I'm going to go through it real fast.
Oh yeah, please. The floor is yours, Mama. Like this is.
Yes, I've been waiting all my life for this podcast here. Okay. So I remember you said that when you and your husband were on the journey and y'all wanted to just celebrate life. And there was another thing that you did say, that let's just say a cycle didn't go through great, because we did do another egg retrieval, which we received 0 eggs. And I was told that at the same time, I was told that I wasn't pregnant, right? Like, why do we have to tell both bad news at the same time? So I'm like, okay. So we decided to choose joy, that we were going to have joy all over the place. We went to Jamaica for Christmas. We had beautiful pictures. We were having the best spa day I have ever had in my life. We were able just to sit on the beach, play volleyball, enjoy the holidays, have a cocktail or 5. Just relax and enjoy each other, because we said that no matter what is happening, whenever the baby comes, they are coming to a happy home. Mommy and daddy are happy individually, we're happy together, and we made sure that that was intentional. So that was Christmas of 2021. Then again, watching what I ate, I actually lost 20 pounds. Because you know how like all those shots, and I'm having shots in my butt when my husband travels. My mama had to give them to me. So I was staying over there at their house, and she was crying the whole journey through that. And so it had been a time, right? But what I know for sure is, like I said, it was all necessary. And so I had lost 20 pounds. And when I finally found this great doctor, and it was March, he said, okay, let's do all your test work. Let's do your husband's. And he said, let's look at your AMH, right? That's like the first thing they test. So a normal 40-year-old, because I'm the wonderful age of 42, yes, a normal 40-year-old AMH would be less than 1. Mine was 2.8. Oh, I know. Like what? 2.8, yo. Like, so I told Dr. Cleopatra, look at what you did. And I told you, look at what you did. Look at what I did. Look at what Greg did. Look at what God did. Because this was a package deal, right? This was a family that had built Tinia back. And I was better than ever. And my old doctor, some of those certain things had stayed in my brain. And she said, you have a uterus problem. And one of my mom's girlfriends said, I want to suggest you go to a Reiki. And so a Reiki kind of deals with energy, and Greg was like, yeah, do whatever you have to do. You know, I believe in God, but I believe God has messengers that have his power, that can hear, see, touch different things. And she said, you know what? There's nothing wrong with you. And sometimes you just may need somebody to tell you that. And I did. And she was actually a medium as well. And she said, yeah. And she was like, I hope you don't mind, but there's a woman, a grandmother figure that's trying to come through, and she really wants me to send you a message. Are you okay with that? And I said, okay, well, let her come through. My mother's mother loved boxing, my grandmother. And she would say, you know, if you're ever in her house, Friday night boxing on HBO, you have to be silent or you got to go to bed. Okay. So the Reiki, she said, I want to do this, and I want to tell you to box and to pivot. She said, maybe on this journey, it may not be the way you want it to be, but just know you will have children, but you may have to change some things up to reflect the way you think it may happen. So I said, okay, I'm open. So Greg and I started looking into donor eggs, and we actually got approved for that. We had to talk to a lawyer. We got approved for that. His numbers were great. We got approved for him. to use his body parts and everything. All that was great. And then the doctor said, okay, we can put more than one embryo in. I still had one, and we can use the other lady's eggs. Because I told him, I said, I don't care what nationality, I want the best eggs I can get. Okay, I want the youngest lady you can find. I need her eggs today. Okay. So he said, okay, so you're going to come back after you have your period in 4 weeks. Okay. And so I am still wondering where that period is. Okay. Because it hasn't been back. All right. So we got pregnant naturally.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do the math here.
Yeah.
So all of these IVFs, retrievals, IUIs, tests, surgeries, fibroids, flirting with a donor, openness, Reiki, and you're pregnant naturally on the eve of doing a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And how many weeks pregnant are you now?
I am 28.
28.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes.
dude.
Yes. Yes.
This is just more evidence that the idea that if IVF doesn't work for you, surgeries don't work for you, that like you have to be open and you have to lean into the trust, because your baby had a completely different plan. I mean,
Exactly.
Mama T was ready to do whatever it took.
Whatever.
And I think that's an interesting thing to explore, because I think there's something that happens when you surrender the idea that it has to happen a certain way. You eliminate those saboteur stories and the things that we keep ourselves small with. And you just say, you know what, I'm surrendering this, whatever it takes, I'm ready. And then boom. I see that so often. Nobody believes me. They think, oh, yeah, that's all wishful thinking, but I see it every day, and you're living proof. What do you have to say about that? I'm sure you've got a few things.
I totally agree, because I also believe that you would talk about a feminine approach, which is receiving. And so I really made sure that I was doing that, like receiving in business, receiving help, support from, my directors, my team, when I needed help, when before, I was superwoman, I was doing everything. I was receiving the help, receiving the support, same thing from my husband. You would tell us to walk in our femininity. And I did that. And then I would say, and I would tell myself, whatever needs to happen is fine. Whatever way it needs to happen, it's fine. I turned the how over to Gus, God, universe, source, like you say, right? I turned that part over to him, knowing that the end result is still going to be the same. It's just the how, I just didn't care.
Right. You knew
I knew he was going to figure that out.
Yeah, you knew how the story was going to end. We just didn't know between those two places where you were and where you're holding your baby. We didn't quite know how that was going to happen.
Yeah, big time.
Wow.
Big time.
Wow.
So I have a partner over here.
How's it going?
Oh my goodness. It's Mr. G. Like, Greg, I'm having the most I mean, you understand that Tinia and I have been waiting for some time to have this conversation. I mean,
yes.
what do you have to say about all of this? Because I mean, it's such a, first of all, it's a huge blessing to have you on here. There's only one other man that showed up on the podcast, and I love it. I love it because dudes need to hear this. Ladies need to feel empowered with their partner with this, because when women start to, when we're going through this and we're reaching out for help, everyone's afraid to ask for help, or my husband's going to say this, my husband, whatever. What do you have to say about your journey and all the things that you and Tinia learned in this process?
Right. First of all, kudos to her speaking things into existence. I can tell you how many times she said she's gonna be on Rosen's podcast, and there it is, right? And as she showed you, she wrote it down several times, and eventually it comes to pass. And the moral of the story is, don't give up, right? Mm-hmm. And it's been an incredible journey. It's clearly challenging, at least in our case, it can be. And sometimes, or most of the time, the majority of the burden, unfortunately, is on the woman. And, as men, we can feel powerless we tend to want to find solutions and help in that way, but it's a different dynamic. It's something you can just find a solution that works necessarily. And so the thing to keep in mind is there are things that we can do. It's just not the typical thing of, okay, finding a quick solution here and there, right? So I wrote a few things down that
you guys are so prepared. I told you both lately, I freaking love you.
So, at least, so this is not, I'm not going to put it as this is what people should do, but this has been my experience. Making sure we're on the same page is important. Communication is key. Communicate how you're feeling, expressing things, whatever the case may be, right? So important that we do that. And also continue living life as normal. Have fun, be silly with each other, go out, travel if possible, go on dates, live life as normal and do the nice things that brought you two together in the first place. Also be the calming voice or spirit that helps balance things out. I think also that's been my experience. That's been important, providing stability, providing, at times things can get crazy, as you know, and being able to not add more crazy to it and help.
I suddenly feel more calm, Greg. Tinia and I are like this, and then Greg comes into the room and we're like, things are calm again. We're so glad that Greg is here. Yeah. Wow. Well, Greg, I mean, what are some of the things that you saw changing in Tinia? Because my husband's spoken about this too, about how it was hard to watch me falling apart, but then seeing when I was starting to change the way that I think and start speaking life to the things that matter to me, so many things started to change. What did you notice?
So first, she is the definition of perseverance. She doesn't give up, I'm in awe of her. And I've seen the emotional growth of going through this, at first, how we both would be freaking out and her in not giving up, in wanting to persevere. She would look out for resources, she would research, and a testament to that, that's how she found you. And so she would scour the earth to find whatever she needs to not give up, to continue. So perseverance, and I truly admire her strength. And, you know, Tinia would be in bed post-surgery on Zoom, having meetings like nothing just happened.
Oh,
And-
yeah. Oh, yeah.
and-
She's boss lady.
yeah, and she does it so well that I'm pretty sure nobody noticed on those meetings, right? So she would just be, oh, I'm in bed today, I'm doing the meeting from bed, whatever. You know, and she carries on like that. So that never give up, that resilience, you know, that growth, emotional growth of, you know, getting better with how we handle things and as we go through it. So also she, you know, she makes things look easy the way she handles it all. She makes this journey look easy. She, you know, and it's an important thing I was remembering to say.
It's okay.
Yes, I'm elated that she's my wife and has those qualities, because, you know, perseverance is not just for this journey. This life requires perseverance. You need that because life is just the nature of life. You need to be perseverant. Otherwise, you know, things are not going to go well for you in life. So I'm really happy that she has those qualities and has grown emotionally and, you know, couldn't ask for better. So
Yeah, I mean, I love what you're saying, Greg, because in the end, it's not just about getting pregnant, it's about staying pregnant and then having this family. Like, it's obvious that all of these changes that were happening in Tinia and all of these things that the two of you were working on were in preparation for what family life is going to be, right? Because it's not just like, super cute, we're pregnant now. I mean, there's like this little one that's on the way that is going to expect the two of you to have your stuff together. I mean, what you're really sharing here with us, Greg, which I really love, and I feel so much more calm now. Like it's just this steady hand and also this determination as a family to support each other. Because I mean, I know that you have so much respect and reverence for Tinia, but I've got a lot of respect and reverence for you, because a lot of men would have said, oh, you know, that sounds like a bunch of witchcraft. You know, you're doing Reiki, you're doing this coaching, you're watching what you eat, you're doing all this stuff. Like, when are we done? Right. But what you did is you really had Tinia, you really held her. And you held to your values, you held to your faith, and you also held to the vision that the two of you had for your lives. Yeah. I mean, that's extraordinary. Well done, Papa Greg.
Thank you. She brought it out of me.
No, that was inherently there.
Yeah. Well, so what are some of the lessons that the two of you, I mean, you shared a ton here, but were there any other things that you would want to share with women or couples that are finding themselves maybe kind of in that messy middle where things look bad? Like, what would you want them to know?
I think when things look worse, that means there's something good coming, right? That's been, for us, it was like at the last hour, right? We were getting ready to go in a totally different direction with things when unexpectedly, kind of, right?
So totally unexpected. The possibility was always there.
Exactly. So to not give up really is the moral of the story. You know, the overall thing for us, I would say, because we had so many opportunities, so many reasons. She had so many reasons to give up. That's why I'm talking about her perseverance and resilience. And we didn't give up, right? Even when this didn't work, we kept going. I mean, I've been giving her shots, felt bad, was trying to find a better spot every time. But she was always a trooper. She always, okay, let's keep going. I'm like, okay, do we need to take a break? Do we need to, so don't give up, even when you don't see it. Just keep faith. And
That's right. That's right.
We are also big believer in speaking things into existence. So once you spoke it, it's going to happen. The trick is it may not happen the timing and how you want it, but it will happen. And oftentimes when it does, it's even sweeter than what you expected.
Oh, you hit the nail right on the head, Greg. I mean, and I'm so happy for the two of you on so many levels, because and our stories are they have so many similarities, because Asher came to us when, I mean, on paper, it looked like just give up, like it just give up. And that just goes to show, I mean, I cannot wait for you guys to meet this little one. I mean, I can tell you that like Asher, I was like, when I finally got to know him and his personality, I'm like, of course he made me wait. Of course this kid made me wait. So I can tell you from personal experience, you got your hands full. You're going to have your hands full. It's just fantastic. Tinia, did you have anything you wanted to share kind of in parting love?
Yes, I would also agree with never give up, and every step gets you closer there. So maybe the first time you tried this milliliter of something and it didn't work, well, now you know that didn't work. So it's going to get you closer to what will work. And sometimes we have to go through the journey to eliminate certain things, because it's really, Gus and science, and we're all working together. So I truly believe that if you keep the positive attitude, if you keep, that word again, that faith, if you keep the faith, we have that path plastered all over the house too. We made t-shirts.
I got it tattooed, girl. I mean, like, it's with me all the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that your dreams will come true. And so we are a prime example. We're already, many people have come up to us and said, hey, have expressed to us, to him, to me, how they may be going through a journey, and people really don't even know our journey. And so that's why, this was important for us to do, so that we can give back to others to say, hey, through their journey, if God can do it for Hannah, who was waiting for decades, and she can do it for us, and she can do it for you, no matter the timeline, because Gus is a God of abundance, and there's no timeline. It will happen. You just have to keep the faith.
Yeah.
And it's coming. Your baby is coming. Open the door, scream, tell them to come on inside. Your baby is coming. Start talking to them. I know for Greg and I, we have been manifesting our babies. I mean, we have people mailing us blankets. They didn't even know what we were going through. Nothing, like nothing. One of my mom's girlfriends gave us, her son had a baby. They gave us like their playpen. No idea. They had no idea. So, and then his brother gave us some baby clothes. They had no idea. So when you manifest, Gus will give you signs to keep going. Look out for those signs. And one of those signs, that's right. And one of those signs is, for me, the 1111, which is why we're doing the podcast today.
I know.
1111 is like new beginning. It's like Gus keeping his promise to you. It's a sign that things are going great, that it's a sign of love. I would see it all the time, and I still do. and I would just rub my belly and say, okay, Gus, I know our baby is coming. And now I just rub my baby and say, I know you in there kicking. So
I mean,
we are just truly blessed. And so we're actually having a girl, and her name is Faith. So yes, my mom always says, faith brought faith here.
Yeah.
I can barely stand it, Tinia. I may fall over right now. I mean, that's just, and you two are just, it's such a delight. I mean, and this is like, I'm not saying this, lightly. I mean, you two are exactly the people. And as I was starting to say earlier, Tinia, you two are why I do this work. Why? Because it's seeing you so happy and seeing the two of you thrive, and seeing the two of you live your dreams. I mean, this is the best thing that could possibly happen, is to be able to show up to our lives, make decisions, know that things are hard, and you keep doing it anyway, because the idea that anything is necessarily going to come easy, you don't have to make it hard, but the idea that there isn't going to be work, there isn't going to be trial and tribulation, and that there isn't going to be growth demanded for us is just crazy, right? In business, in family, in relationships, we're constantly in growth mode. And if you're not, it's stagnation. Like, anyone who thinks that they're just going to be like hanging on, that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like you're constantly moving forward or you're sliding back. There's no middle ground. So, well, I am so grateful for the two of you. And I mean, I'll never forget meeting the two of you in person in Dallas, and
Yes.
It's another testament to how this journey is a gift. It's the people that you're going to meet. It's going to be the things that you learn. It's the people that you become, and ultimately the families that you're creating. So thank you both for that. And I'm so glad you showed up, Greg. It's so good to see. Yeah. Papa
Can
Greg.
I say one more thing, Rosie?
Of course, woman, this is your time.
Okay. I just want to just take the time just to thank some people, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
I do want to, and I'm just so grateful for a business that I could be able to do from my home. So my Mary Kay business, some days I could be curled up in fetal position, in the bed with no makeup on. Then the next day I could be in the same position, but at 5 o'clock I would have some makeup on. And so I would do 2 Zooms for 2 hours, and that would be enough. I remember one time I was curled up in my office on the floor, got up, did a Zoom, went back on the floor, then got up next hour and did a Zoom and went back on the floor. There is no other business I could have done, no other job, that the whole office would not have known my journey. Yeah. My boss would have had to know my journey, all my coworkers, because I would be missing days from work. I would want to be in bed. So I'm grateful for my Mary Kay business. And I just wanted to say that. I want to thank my bump squad. Y'all out there, make sure you get a bump squad that says, and when I say bump squad, I mean friends, some of my Mary Kay mentors, they would be praying for us. They would say, when we would get the results we didn't necessarily want, they would say, okay, what's the plan? They wouldn't say, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. They didn't do that. They're like, okay, so what do we have to do next? That bump squad kept me going.
There's no victimhood. There's no victimhood. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I could just cry from the text messages that I've received just to say, hey, just thought of you today. I would get a random little card in the mail with the word faith on it from my best friend Tinia in Virginia, who knew no idea what we were going to name our daughter whenever it happened, right? Again, manifesting, but having the right people in your circle.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that. Of course, I thank God for you, because you helped change my mind in order for me to be the best Tinia I could be. Then, of course, I want to thank my parents who helped to take care of me, us, when, Greg does own his own business, and guess what? He has to work. So, somebody would have to feed me because I couldn't walk down the stairs because of surgery scars and all of that. Everybody knows my parents are like the Huxtables. They are the best. Everybody calls my mom and my daddy for questions, help, support, whatever, just a sounding board. And so I'm grateful for them. And of course, I thank God and my husband, because, they kept me going when I hadn't crossed the bridge yet, to stay positive, so I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful for his family who are so supportive. I'm grateful to my brother and his wife who are so supportive. And I just wanted to take that time to just say that, because it really does take a village. It takes a village. And we know our child, our little baby girl, Faith, right now, but we're going to have EJ. That's Emmanuel Jr. That's Greg's first name, Emmanuel. So we're going to be doing this again. Okay. So,
I know you will.
Yes.
I know you will.
Yes.
I know you will.
Yes. And the dreams have already come in. So.
Yeah. And I love that, Tinia. And I especially love, because so many of my mamas are like, after they have their baby, they decide, oh my gosh, you know what? I do want to work from home. I'm going to be putting a link to your information into this, so that if they want to start their own business and be a boss lady, like Tinia, that they can get on that team of yours, because it's like the natural next step. And I obviously believe that entrepreneurship is the way to go.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that you're demonstrating how gratitude is so critical on this journey, and bless you for taking the time to bless other people, not only with your story, but with the gratitude you just shared here, because all you're doing, Tinia, is just spreading that love. And I thank God, universe, source, every single day for you, for Greg, for all of the people that I get my hands on in this lifetime, because it's just such a delight to see you all so happy and living your dream. So thank you for the generosity and the openness for sharing that here. And I know you're going to be touching so many lives all over the world. So thank you both for that.
Yay.
And we did it. November to November, girl.
Yeah.
November to November. This is how quickly your life can change when you make a decision.
Yes.
So thank you both for that. Love to you, Greg. It's so good to see
Love
you.
you, Roseanne.
Yeah, love you too, guys. Thank you so much.
Love this episode of the Fearlessly Fertile podcast? Subscribe now and leave an awesome review. Remember, the desire in your heart to be a mom is there because it was meant for you. When it comes to your dreams, keep saying hell yes.